She's my laid back in the front seat. She my with me till the end. I'ma turn it up to 10, girl. She can have anybody that she wants to be, anywhere she wants to be. She loves a small town boy like me. All right, so let's go ahead and get started today. We are doing Chapter 1, Lesson 2 on ratios. Students will be able to understand ratio concepts and use ratio reasoning to solve problems. These are the two standards that we'll be covering in the lesson today. Make sure to write down absolutely everything that is typed or written on this video, and pause this video at any time that you need to slow things down. Okay, so remember, ratios, the definition for ratios are that when we are comparing two quantities or two things by division, okay? Ratios can be shown in 3 different ways, and these are the 3 different ways that they can be shown. You can write the numbers with the word 2 in the middle. So when we are comparing two things, you can say 2 to 6. This is another way to write it, where it says a fraction, with the fraction bar being how we're comparing them. 2 over 6, or 2 to 6. And then also with a colon in between the two numbers. 2 to 6 can also be written as 2 on the left, 6 on the right, with a colon in the middle. So using the word 2, using a fraction bar, or using a colon. Those are the 3 ways that ratios can be written. Most of the time, the way we will be using ratios is with a fraction bar. So we will see it most of the time this way. But just keep in mind that you could write it with the word 2 in between, and you also could write it with a colon. Okay, so use sentence frames to explain your meaning. Make sure to write all of this down. These are very important. We're going to talk about sentence frames a lot. The lesson is going to give you questions, and it's going to ask you to find the ratio and write the ratio as a fraction. But it's also going to ask you to explain your meaning. You can explain your meaning using these 2 sentence frames, and you can plug in whatever number and description that you are talking about. So I want you to go ahead and write down these 2 sentence frames, and then in the example questions that we've got today, I will show you how we will be using those sentence frames. Okay, so there we go. Here is the number 1, okay, when you are comparing two different things, like red pens to paper clips, or basketballs to footballs, or pink nail polish to red nail polish. Okay, so when you're comparing 2 different things, this is the sentence frame you are going to use. For every blank, there are blank. And what goes in the blanks are the part, each number that you've got, and the description of that part. So for basketballs, that's the part number 4, and the description is basketballs. There are blank. You also need a part number and a description here. So for every 4 basketballs, there are 6 footballs. Okay, for example. This second sentence frame down here is when you are comparing a part to a total amount. So for example, 2 out of every 10 students are boys. I don't know. That's not accurate. But 2 out of every 4 students are boys. So the part description over here tells us what it is that the description tells us about the first number. So how many out of your total number what are they? 1 out of every 5 candy bars is a Snickers. 3 out of every 15 players are pitchers. Okay? So those are your sentence frames. You need to make sure that you write those down. We are going to use sentence frames a lot with this chapter. Okay? So this question says, write each ratio as a fraction, and then you would have to explain its meaning. So what you can see here is we've got 3 rectangles and a circle. So because we're comparing two different things, our ratio, we can write it as 3 to 1 because the rectangles come first. So 3 rectangles to 1 circle. So how we are going to write that is for every 3 rectangles, there is 1 circle. Okay? We have that for every and there is with this because we are comparing two different things. This is the sentence frame that we used when we are comparing two different things. For every blank, there are blank. So for every 3 rectangles, there is 1 circle. All right, now this next one, it says write each ratio as a fraction. We've got 5 circles here, and only one of them is red. So 1 out of every 5 circles is red. We have the out of every because we are comparing all of these are circles. We are just comparing 1 out of the total amount. This is our part to our whole. Okay? So 1 out of every 5. And this says 1 to 5 as a fraction. We could have also written our ratio as 1 to 5 or 1 to 5. Those are other two ways of writing this ratio of red circles to total amount of circles. Okay? That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow.